Welcome back to the second episode of the Adeline podcast. I'm your co-host Avery.
And I'm your other co-host, Eric. We're gonna be talking about space shit.
Yeah, I've been just kind of on a binge recently on YouTube for the past week or two on outer space. I've been getting a lot of videos on UFOs and debunking channels. Actually, even today, the first video I watched was, have you seen the Corridor Crew channel before, Eric?
Sounds familiar, but I'm not really remembering. What is it?
They're like a VFX channel, and then they do
Oh, them. Yeah.
debunking shit with they show quote unquote actual UFOs. Technically, they are unidentified flying objects, but for some reason, people have this weird misconception that when you say it's a UFO, it means flying saucer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or an alien.
But it doesn't make sense because there are a bunch of unidentified flying objects that are all over the place. It could be like a balloon, an insect, even at times, and they have a whole series of debunking videos like that,
hmm
and they showed one. I'm learning a lot about visual effects and actually learning about what makes what would actually consider you would make something like an impossible shot, like what you could identify as a UFO based on the footage. And there's one shot they had. I was like, damn, this looks really convincing. Like it actually was really good on the last shot they had in that video.
Yeah. But what was the actual fix for it?
It was the fact that the tracking of the object was seemed like on a 2D plane instead of a 3D plane. So
hmm
it was like a shot of a guy in an airplane, and he's with his phone moving from right to left, and there's this black little dot that's going across the bottom of the screen, and it goes left, and then it goes up and then down. But the
hmm
thing is, if you're moving in an airplane, right, and that object's also moving um perpendicular to you, right, you would expect the object to get closer as you're also moving along the path, right?
Yeah.
But in the shot, it kind of seemed 2D tracked, that the object stayed at the same distance. And based on the fact that if you're based on the fact that he was in an airplane, meant that it obviously was it was a track shot. It was a VFX shot.
Right.
Because the object didn't get any closer to them, to the camera. It just stayed at that same distance, and so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why they found it out. But
It's
I've been
moving
just
reference frames. Yeah.
yeah, I've been just so, I don't know, just on a binge right now of just YouTube rabbit hole of space and weird shit right now.
Do you happen to remember where that? I think I know the specific one you're talking about, which is really funny. Um, I think it was like some thing where it was like, okay, it's stationary, it looks like a pill-like thing on the camera, and then it like zooms off suddenly or some shit like that.
Dude, that's all of
Um,
them.
yeah, I get that. That's true. But it was something on like it was the west coast of northern Mexico, I think, or something like that. But yeah, I don't remember. It was something specific like that. I was like, that one's very interesting because the actual physics behind it were trickier to talk about, or like the
Oh,
reason behind
actually,
it. You know?
they we can go back to watch that video another time, but I maybe, because all these shots are either just a balloon or a bug flying in camera.
Oh, yeah. No, there's some that are like, yeah. But the thing is, like, all UFO videos are like, oh, okay, this is blurry and whatnot, and the reason for that is because all the ones that aren't blurry are the ones that are identified.
That's true.
You
That's
know?
But don't you think that adds a little bit of the mysticism to the UFO lore?
No,
Like
it
it's
just it
supposed to
adds a
it's supposed to
reason.
be crappy, like iPhone footage, like are don't you want it to be that way? Like when you go out and you're looking at this stuff, you're like, damn, that could have been a UFO. Only if there was more pixels and it was not at nighttime.
Yeah, I think that's the entire thing with UFOs. You know, they're unidentified because you can't identify them because your camera's dog shit. It's
do you
like,
do you think you'd actually ever be convinced through UFO footage?
if it was like very high res and clearly not doctored, and like there was, if you are you talking about like like, oh, there's some footage, but like it's actually aliens, and would I be convinced if I saw it? Or are you talking
Yeah,
about like,
yeah. Let's say hypothetically, there's actual footage, someone, you know, we get actual footage of a UFO landing, and out of the UFO comes out aliens. Would you like, based on your like knowledge as right now and your belief, would you believe it? Like, let's say like you can prove it's not doctored. You know, like people have said like, no, this is real footage, right? They
Uh-huh.
give you the raw files. For people who don't know, raw files are a form of like video formatting. So you know how we have like .mp4s and like JPEGs, all this type of stuff, right?
Hmm.
Raw files are a form of for photography and also for video, where what you're capturing is the essentially the natural like footage the camera is reading. So it's not been altered anyway. It's not compressed. It's whatever the camera reads is what you get. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but if you have raw files, it proves that the image you have, the video you have, is like undoctored. You know what I mean? It has to
Yeah.
be like done in camera.
I think if somebody handed me the raw files of Blip Blorp from like Planet Z Volubidoo coming
Yeah.
down and being like, "Hey dudes, what's up?" you know, like, "Hey, we traveled pretty far. Can we get lunch?" like I think I would uh maybe believe it a bit more. Uh but maybe if it was just like some small object on a reasonably good camera in the sky, I think I'd be much more likely to be like, "Oh, that's probably some military top secret shit," than I would be to be like, "Oh, that's an alien."
So you would say like it's more believe you believe it a little bit more. Like, do you think in your like idea would you say like maybe you might think like it's some guy in a costume and that's like what it is, like it's on like a stage set, or you just like actually just don't believe that there is such a thing as aliens?
I mean, I believe that they're in it. Okay, so from a scale perspective of the universe versus how likely it is to get like a planet similar to, for example, Earth in conditions of Earth, I would say it's almost inevitable that there's at least hundreds, if not thousands, of alien species in the universe. There's a difference between that and saying, you know, one of them just arrived at our doorstep. You know what I mean? like, there's like fundamental physics that makes that much harder to believe is achievable. There's like the probability that there's a habitable thing in our galaxy is questionable. Outside of ours depends on how statistically likely it is. But that's like Fermi paradox shit.
Would you want to meet an alien? Like if you had the option to?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if it's more Vulcan and less Borg. I don't know if you know that
Okay.
reference.
It's a Star Trek
um,
here.
yeah, yeah. Vulcan being like peaceful, logical first ambassadors in Star Trek's universe to the humans that started the Federation of Planets. That's like the whole thing in Star Trek, and the Borg being a like collectivist, like shared one mind robotic or cybernetic species that like takes over anything it'll come in contact with. Is basically
Okay,
the gist of
the funny thing is like you use Star Trek. The first thing I thought of was more like Alien versus Predator.
Alien versus Predator.
Like I
Aren't those both
would.
bad?
Well, it depends on like, the xenomorphs are definitely bad, but if you get the predators, okay, like if
Okay,
you show you are a good warrior and you're also not a threat, they won't kill you. You know what I mean?
so they're Klingons.
Uh,
Sorry.
yeah. Chloroform. Where the fuck they are?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, they're the collagens.
yeah, yeah. All right, fair enough. Somebody might one day see this and appreciate it. You never know.
when we were in college, Eric was trying to make me watch the entire like Star Trek. What was it?
I
What
don't
was the
think I
series we wanted to
ever
watch?
asked you to do that.
Oh, you definitely asked me. I remember whenever we go to your dorm room, you'd be like, "Hey, you want to watch this with me?" Like, I'm like, maybe
Whatever.
not."
That is so not true, man. What? I think I one day did ask though if you were interested in watching it at some point, but I don't think I was like every day. I was like, "Oh, bro, you want to go see fucking Klingons?"
No, you're definitely asking like, "Hey, you want to watch Star Trek?" I'm like, "Nah." I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, this is a pretty good series." I'm telling you, like, it's not bad.
Okay, yes, that happened, but not consistently. That's the
Okay,
difference.
okay.
I
Listen, that's your truth. That's your truth.
I will accept my truth. And I will move on. No, actually, I wasn't that. So I got interested in Star Trek in like middle school. And it was a huge thing that got me like big into, or not like the thing that got me into science, but it was one of those things that was like on along the way that I really liked the mindset with that stuff. I thought it was a cool universe and fun ideas and whatnot. But yeah, I didn't really engage with it after middle school, except I rewatched The Next Generation for nostalgia purposes in my senior year of undergrad. Just because I was like, okay, well, maybe I can put myself back in the mindset that I had when I was younger. But you know,
Trying to find newfound motivation through old or like nostalgia of watching Star Trek New Generations.
yeah, like nostalgia from something that was inspirational when I was younger, and also just it's fun. But yeah,
Or you more of, so would you say you're more of a Star Trek fan than a Star Wars fan?
I've never watched Star Wars, so I
Whoa,
would
whoa, whoa,
say
whoa,
yes.
whoa, 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 whoa. Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never watched it. I've
I
never
feel like
watched
you've
Star Wars.
told me this, but at the same time, I feel like every time you told me this, I keep blacking it out because I can't believe the blasphemy you keep saying this. I'll be honest. I'm actually don't remember you ever telling me this. You've never watched Star Wars.
I think when I was younger, one of like again middle school age, a family friend of ours like made us watch one, uh, because I don't know, he was really into Star Wars, and it didn't connect with me, and also I didn't really understand jack shit.
Okay,
Even
wait,
though he
wait, wait.
tried to
Which one did he
show it
make
in a
you watch?
chronological, I think he showed um, I think he showed the one with the Death Star. Uh,
What? You watched one of the good ones. You actually watched one of the good ones.
Okay, but I was younger. I've just never had a reason to watch it. I'm totally down to watch it. Although at this point, I've told this to people in my cohort because this came up at one point. I was like, at this point, it's more fun to not watch it than have people be like, "What the fuck? You haven't watched it?"
I
than
hate
it
you
is
so
to
much.
like actually watch it. You know what I mean? I did that to the director of my program. I hit him with that. He was like, he said something about Star Trek or Star Wars, and I was like, "Yeah, I haven't watched it." He was like, "What?"
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about. Listen, I think at least you have the Star something. You know, you have the Star Trek going for you.
Trek.
I'm surprised. I'm just surprised. Like I'm at a loss for words, honestly. We're gonna watch it one day. Well, I
We'll
watch New
watch it one day.
Generations. If you watch
The
we
trilogy,
won't
the
make you watch
series.
the yeah we won't make you watch the newer ones. They're kind of meh.
Okay. The next generation is 7 seasons for the record, so I wouldn't
Okay, it's
go for the whole thing.
we're gonna watch. Okay,
That's not a fair trade.
I'll watch the equal amount of runtime of the first six movies in New Generations. If you
Isn't that
watch
like
those six,
6 episodes?
yeah, it's fine. Is it?
It's
Wait, how
like
much? How long is an episode in Star Trek?
I think like 40 to 45. I think.
Okay, we'll watch. I'll watch like the first two seasons. How's
Sure, something like. Well, we'll figure it out. No worries, man. It's an
that?
interesting it's an interesting show, but also I do kind of want to watch Star Wars. I don't know. It's one of those things I don't want to do alone. I'd like rather watch it with somebody who enjoys it
Don't
and then
watch it with
like have
JC.
fun with it.
JC's like the worst. Okay, we have a friend named JC, and
Uh-huh.
he's one of the worst people to watch movies with
Why?
because I remember watching Joker with this kid, and every time something like crazy would happen, okay, I would do it too just because I was getting hyped, but also he did it
Uh-huh.
first. He would like nudge me with his elbow and shit, and be like, oh my god, and I'm like, bro, can I just like sit down and watch? But like, I was like, okay, whatever. But I started doing it back to him because I was like, fuck it, dude, I'm not gonna ruin the mood and tell him to stop. But I was like,
Uh-huh.
I just want to watch the movie.
I feel that. I feel that. I'm the type of person who won't do that, but every now and again I'll like make a joke. It depends on the mood, honestly. It depends on the person I'm watching with. If they're into that, I'm into that kind of thing. So I 100% agree there. But yeah,
I agree with it if we're like in our house or in private. We're in a movie theater with other people.
oh, okay. Never mind. Fuck that.
And I'm like,
What?
we're snickering too. We're like, oh shit. I'm like, that's fine. But like, I'm like, dude, it's so quiet in here. Like, we should not be doing this.
Yeah, that does make me much more uncomfortable when I could be disturbing other people that I don't know. If I'm disturbing somebody I know, in like it's something that like I'm risking us just having more fun. and then it becomes obvious that they're not interested in like going through it that way
No.
of watching the movie, then I'm like, okay, cool. Like that was just the one joke. So we're good. But if it's like some random fucker who's just gonna be sitting there malding the whole time, I don't want to.
What's like the space horror movie you are going to watch next? Like I want to watch more Alien versus Predator stuff, but like I'm waiting for like them to do like the next one because I watched the recent one. I think it was just called Predator.
Uh huh.
It was a really good movie. It was on Hulu. I love the movie so much. Um, but I'm waiting for the next installment because they're actually like the stories are linked with one another.
Mm, that's fair. That's
Because
fair.
yeah, it's like if you watch some of the old, I don't know when the Predator movies came out, but when you watch one of the old ones, you meet like the city Predator, and this is still like lore stuff. Um, and the weird, it's just they're called these type of predators. It's either because they're the environment they're in, or there was like some like lore shit that happened. But there was one predator that was hunting in the city, and his story connects back to the new predator, or at least one of his like leaders did, or his bosses. And I want to like read the comics and like watch the entire like trilogy, all this stuff. But dude, it's just so long because sometimes it's just pure violence, like the entire movie. Honestly, it's the same
Oh,
shit. That's the thing. It's like
yeah.
they're hunting one person, and then the person figures out how to defeat them, and then they just do it. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. It's still good though, but I'm like, I'm looking for a little more pizzazz, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. I really like when there's nuance with these kind of things and it's not just like, ooh, alien go kill person, you know?
I think
I
like
really like the nuance there, or like
yeah.
especially their societal structure, things like that. I think it's just interesting.
Okay, some of the lore stuff gets like kind of buggy and a little like weird.
But it depends, yeah, for sure, how aggressively they're doing it. But, you know,
We'll see how it goes.
yeah, it depends. I think I don't know. It's just interesting stuff. Honestly, I don't have an alien horror movie especially in my brain that I'm like itching to watch. I know at some point I want to watch Alien, but I haven't watched it, like the old one. Um the yeah, I don't know if have you ever seen Spaceballs?
Is it the one with the big Darth Vader head?
Yeah, I think so. It's the one
I
with
remember
yogurt.
watching it as a child, but I don't remember much like about it though.
It's like an old parody movie basically. At this point I guess it's decently old. It's like from the 80s. So like for relative to parody movies, that's pretty old. Um but it's basically on space shows, movies, things like that, space media.
Hmm.
But it's centered around Star Wars for sure. So they have like all sorts of parody, but they have one scene that's a reference to the old Alien movie, where they're in a diner. Main character is in a diner. They order like the soup, and then it like pans over to this to some commotion, and it's this dude who's like on a stretcher, and this baby alien pops out of his stomach, like it does in the movie, I think.
Like a chest
Um,
burster.
yeah, exactly. I think, and then it gets onto the counter, puts on a top hat and a cane, and sings "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey," and
Oh
then it
wait,
stomps
I
out.
think I've seen that meme actually. I've seen the format. I think in my head I can picture it actually.
Yeah, it's a ref. It's I think it originates from that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't originate because obviously that's a parody of that. The song existed before that, but you know,
Do you think you would be okay with space travel if there were like there are known aliens that like did shit like this?
popped out of your stomach and sang "Hello, my
Yeah,
baby,
like
hello, my
they
honey."
would like well maybe not the last part, but definitely like they could infect you, you know, like a parasite and then use you as its like incubator. Like would it as cool as it would be to space travel, like don't you think that's kind of like scary? Like would you be okay with that
I
as a risk?
mean, it's not like the worst. It's not like the first incubator or not incubator parasite we've encountered. You have like ringworm and shit. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
sure.
as
Like
bad, but like,
but we have ways to deal with it, right? Like there we
yeah,
as we know about it here on Earth, right? But it's more like in space when you are away from medical facilities, right? And this is like the idea that like we are just like going to Mars, right? We have rockets, we have equipment, we can do all this stuff, but we're not like sci-fi yet, you know?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like space, like big space travel, like Star Wars, Star Trek s scale. And then there's
And
also that possibility. If it's like that small of a region, then I wouldn't do it.
it's too much of a risk, don't you think?
Yeah, it's like why would you go into space if you're gonna have your like, a testicle lizard come in and have its children in you if on your way to fucking the closest planet to you, you know? Like I don't need like I don't need that. That's not in my not in my plans for my life.
What happens like you're doing research, right? You're doing quantum research, and it requires you like if you want to find your like this answer to your question, right? For some reason, right? For whatever reason, it requires you to go out in space. For science, would you be willing to get impregnated by a testicle lizard?
Quantum research. Yeah, if I like needed to make some big Wait, did you say it requires me to get impregnated by a testicle lizard?
Maybe, maybe.
No, I'm not doing that.
Wow,
That's
wow!
like
You're not
that's
taking one
that
for the
that can't
team.
pass OSHA safety lines, you know? Like
Wow,
there's
you're that's your line. If it doesn't pass OSHA, I'm not doing it for science. Some
look,
scientists you
man.
are, Eric. You're definitely not winning a Nobel Prize.
Look, man, I may win a Nobel Prize, but if it requires me to have a lizard, do you know how long it takes for people to get Nobel Prizes, dude? Like people
Yeah,
publish research and then it's like 30 years later they'll get their Nobel Prize. I can't live that long with a lizard popping out of my balls.
it's fine. I'll take it for you. Just put it in your will that like if
You'll
this were to happen, you're gonna let your good friend Avery to take the prize for you. It's gonna be in your name, obviously. I'm just saying I'll accept it on your behalf
and the
because she
money,
died to. I'll give it. We'll split it.
but I'll be dead. I thought okay, backtracking. I thought you meant I'll take it as in like you wanted a transplant or something.
No, 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 no,
Like
no.
I'll
It's
take it. Like like so anti abortion that you're even like I will take the testicles with the alien lizard out of your body and
no,
put it into mine instead of leaving it to
no,
die.
no. You can keep that, bro. Listen. You for you to get this Nobel Prize, you must take the testicle lizard and all. Okay, I will just be there on stage, be like, I'll be there mourning you, giving your last giving your like last speech, your obituary or something like that, and I would be like, man, Eric, amazing physicist, so dedicated to his craft, he got fucked by a lizard in space. And listen, like he was so noble and ready to die for a cause that he believed in, the cause of science. Like that's gonna go hard, bro. And then we're gonna have the lizard on top of your casket. I'll be like, this is for you, brother.
Is he gonna be like, Daddy?
Yeah,
Why is
dude.
he
It's
dead? Like, is he raised in human society? Like, what the fuck is this?
no. But instead of speaking English, he's gonna be like screeching. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to take care of this thing. I'm Eric. I'm sorry, Eric. This is gonna be your only child. We gotta put it down.
Uh, do I know this is the case going into it?
You definitely know there's a probability that like you could get
Okay, so it's not
infected by
it's not
some
like a
alien.
guarantee. It's not like a
No,
guarantee.
no, no, no. But like, here's the thing: like when you're going to like Galactic Nine, right? Trying to find some like
I thought I was
evidence of
heading
this
to
like
Mars.
Mars is too far. Mars is too close. We need to go further out. We got to make sure that
Yeah,
it's like a spectacle.
sure.
Like there's definitely a chance that when you come back, you bring something back with you, and I don't mean like ghosts and shit, but actually, Space Ghosts, that could be a good movie. That could be a good movie.
Space ghosts? Why
Think
would they
about it.
be? Why would there be ghosts in space but not on Earth?
Because when you die, your spirit goes out to the universe and you're just roaming space until you find something to attach to. That's why you don't see that many ghosts on here on Earth, if any at all. Like they are trying to come back to Earth, and the atmosphere is keeping them out. If you think about it that way, it's actually kind of cracked.
So, what happens to gravity with ghosts?
They don't
Like,
believe
do
in
they
it,
not
and so
interact? They
therefore it
don't
doesn't affect them. I'm just saying.
But
I'm just saying.
they believe in the interactions of the atmosphere that's blocking them.
They when they die, Eric. Listen, man. When you die, gravity, like the laws of physics, just don't apply to you, except here on Earth for a little bit. I'm
Uh,
just saying.
I like the idea that that's like, oh yes, souls rise into the sky going to heaven, and it's just like a misconception scientifically. Like they're half right, but it's just they float into space afterwards instead. It's like, I see them going to their salvation, and then like the actual event's like, get me out, I'm suffocating.
Space Ghosts. That
Space
I
ghosts.
would. We're gonna write that movie one day. Space Ghosts.
Oh no,
But how
that's
scary would that be? It's scary enough to have ghosts on Earth, but it's like even scarier that they're out in space.
uh yeah, I like the idea of you know how those people who will go into haunted houses or like whatever asylums or whatever the fuck, and they will what's it called, they'll take these like weird like um receiver type things and they'll try to talk to ghosts, or they'll take
Oh,
flashlights and
EMF
shit.
receiver, dude. I know you.
Yeah,
I
I
play
want somebody
Phasmophobia,
to
bro.
like, I want somebody to become an astronaut, but like hide that equipment in on their bodysuit, and then one day take a spacewalk and quote unquote accidentally cut themselves free, and just go floating out there, and all they're doing is like, is this correct? Is this where the souls go? Like
They
orbiting
should.
Earth.
They should do. Phasmophobia should have a DLC out in space. You're on a space. You're on. You're on the space station.
Oh no. Oh, even worse too, because okay, so the ghosts don't have to obey the laws of gravity, right? Because they're, because you asserted
they're
this,
ghost.
and this is what we've accepted, um, as a logic for this weird world. Um, and they would have had no reason to gain momentum for orbiting Earth, right? They would have just floated up, right? So I love the idea that they're hovering above, and this person cuts themselves free, but they're cutting themselves free at orbital angular momentums. So they're flying around the Earth at thousands of miles per hour. So they're just listening with their little device where you can hear like one word, and it's just like, "Hey, how you doing, man? Oh, fuck."
It's like it's as you're going around the earth, like you're going
Yeah,
around it. Hey,
it's
what
just like
is?
exactly. Or you're like cutting into weird bits of conversation, like I don't even know. Like, I miss Subway.
I think if I was a ghost, I would miss Subway too. Like no lie.
God, I could use a
What?
beer.
That no, that's perfect. That's why we burn. That's why like in like Eastern cultures they burn money, right? It's
Uh
not so that
huh.
they can give it to the spirit world, like wherever their ancestors are. It's so
Uh
that it
huh.
can go out to space.
Yeah, and then they can start spirit subways.
Dude, I would. Oh my god, I would run. I would run a spirit subway. Like no joke, bro. I would be so good at making a spirit sandwich, a ghost
Uh-huh.
sandwich. Oh my god, I'd be down for that.
Oh my god, man. Ugh. That idea of the fucking, what a what a mental image. Holy shit. That's so funny.
Space ghosts.
Space ghosts.
Space ghosts.
Nothing better. Space anti-gravity space ghosts
But
with
who's to say? But yeah, but who's to say that like the spirit? You know, these ghosts don't get affected by gravity. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We
yeah,
have no proof of that yet.
you know,
Until you out there and possibly get impregnated by a space lizard and meet a space ghost, we don't know that for sure yet, Eric.
you're not
You have
wrong.
to be the one. You have to be the martyr for the martyr for this situation. Okay, like you have to go out there.
I think I've been convinced. I think if we had this conversation, but you were like the chief officer who was like, we need to send you to space so you can do your research, your quantum research, as you put it so beautifully. um, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to risk getting fucking testicle lizarded, like Jim.
You know, it's gonna be like it's fine. That's only one out of five times. I'm like 1 out of 5 times. That's 20%. It's like, yeah, but just roll it. Just roll in the 80. It's fine.
take a take a D10. Go 1 and 2 and just pray.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Trust me, son. Space lizard impregnation doesn't happen that often. It happens enough though that we know about it though.
Yeah, yeah. He's like not lying, but he like the statistics aren't actually known, but it's actually like one and a it's like 1 and 2, but he's
Oh, it's
saying
yeah,
it
it's
doesn't happen
definitely
often,
way,
but he doesn't say it.
it's way higher
Yeah,
than he's what he's
exactly.
making it out to be.
But he doesn't say the specific number. He just, even though he knows it, he's just like, "Oh yeah, it doesn't happen that often." But in his head, he's like, "Because there's not that many space launches."
It's like the we've only launched 5
Yeah,
space rockets, and only one of them came back with a space lizard.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, but in reality, this in reality, if we were to launch like 1,000 of them, over like 70% would definitely get space lizarded.
Yeah, it gets to the point where like, even worse. It's like, "Oh yeah, we launched like we launched like 20 missions, and only 5 of them came back." And then it's like you look at the records, and it's like, "Oh, the first 15 had nothing, and then the last 5 all had it."
That's crazy, huh?
Like, "Oh, they rolled up into town, huh?" Goddamn testicle lizards, man. You don't want to get involved.
The space damn testicle lizards.
They're coming your way.
That's a. I think I would be scared. Like if that's probably the most scary thing out there in space right now.
Testicle lizards for sure. Yeah, at this point, yeah. Honestly, fuck the lack of air or the cold environment or whatever.
Listen, we
Radiation, the
have
sun,
spacesuits for that. We just don't have a countermeasure for space lizards yet.
nukes. You know, nukes in space are so much scarier than nukes on Earth.
How so?
How so? Because so have you ever, you know how like a nuke explodes on Earth and it
Hmm.
stops and you get that mushroom cloud shape and then it like chills and then it
Yeah.
dies? If you blow a nuke up underwater, where there's significantly more atmospheric pressure, which people have done historically, um, you get a much smaller, denser explosion because there's so much force keeping it back down, right?
Hmm.
In space, you don't have the atmosphere to keep that down.
Oh, it just keeps
So
going out.
it keeps going for a long time
Yeah. Uh huh. Uh huh.
until
Okay.
it
Okay.
physically runs out of energy on its own to be expanding instead of being pressured down by the atmosphere or water. So
I
much
see. I
scarier in
see.
space.
Maybe that's how we deal. That's how we deal with that's how we deal with the space lizards.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, yeah, that's how we
We
deal
have
with
to
space
to
lizards.
bring a nuke out to space. This is our justification to bring weapons out into the outside our atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is what we need right now, 100%. This is what society is aching for is anti testicle lizards nukes between Earth and Mars.
Elon Musk out of nowhere comes back with a testicle lizard.
It's in one of those facilities. He's like, "This is the next stage of humanity." Testicle lizards. Oh god. But yeah, no. What was the original question that sparked this wonderful discussion?
Would you go out to space if you know there's like these certain risks involved? Like,
Oh, yeah, I think at this point 100%. Would you?
I think so. I think like you gotta if it's like something like a New Horizon type of thing, right? You're gonna be out there in space to, find discovery, further our species, all this stuff. I'd be down.
That's
But the thing is, I don't
awfully
think I'm
sentimental.
qualified. I don't think I'm qualified. That's the one issue.
Sure, but the idea is that like they'll teach you. You know, like you go in now and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll train you," and then by your age 30, you're out in space getting testicle lizarded. You know, I
It's
mean
just so
they don't
cracked. If that's the
advertise
one thing,
though.
that's the one thing day one they tell you to worry about.
Yeah, they're like, "Fuck space, we got testicle lizards, man." Ooh,
I
you
don't
don't
know.
want
What would your reason be for wanting to go out to space? I mean, you said mine was more sentimental. Like mine actually like, well, it feels like your reason it might be more greedy for some reason.
Yeah, I want to meet a testicle lizard. I think that's my answer. No, I think if my honest answer was to happen, I'd be like, fuck that. I'm just gonna do research on Earth. Um, but I would still love to. I don't know. I'd love to go to space. I think if it was like, oh, we have the whole galaxy, right? And these happen every now and again. but like this happens, I would go into space and do shit, right? But if it's, I'm telling you, man, if it's between Mars and Earth, like I'm like, fuck that.
I think on Mars, here's the thing. Like on, if you were to go to Mars, it's this idea like if you go first, there's a good chance you die.
Yeah,
But if you
actually,
make it
it's
out,
almost it's planned that you die
yeah.
on Mars.
But like it's the fact like if you make it out, like for even like let's say like obviously you're gonna die, right? But like if you survive long enough, you establish everything, you could have your name on a plaque when they make the next building.
When you say it out loud, it doesn't sound that worth it, does it? Like
I don't
your
know.
whole
Listen, have
life
you
spent
when you
tortured on
walk
a
through those
different planet.
schools, right? Walk through like our campuses, and we walk into buildings, and you see those like all those professors, all these donators, and their names on the plaque. It's
I'm
not
like, who
too
the fuck are
bad.
you?
That's true. Go to Brown Building, and I'm like, the color is it the name of the building or the color of the building?
Yeah,
I
or
don't
is it
know.
just
I don't
like
know.
somebody fucking donated money? Like you can't tell the difference between like, oh yeah, this person donated money. Like at my university, I can't. I'll say there's somebody who's like a billionaire who donated money, who's very known in our home state, who whose name is on the building, which threw me so far off when uh when I got there. I was like, what the fuck is his name doing here? Like, why is it? They're so far away. The difference between like California and Illinois is nuts. In distance. Um, I'm like, why? Why is his
There's
name
a
here?
chance. Who
And
knows?
the
Maybe
reason is
he
just
was
because
an
he donated
alumni.
money, huh?
Maybe he was an alumni. You don't know. You actually
He might
you
have been
definitely
an
could know.
alumni.
You could Google it.
Yeah, it's definitely Googleable. That might be the reason, but he has his name on this random building though. I'm like, why? I don't know, man. I hear most of the stories I hear about names on buildings. It's just rich people donating money to the school.
I don't know who donated to our school, to be honest. When we that the our undergrad, I
Yeah,
feel like I feel like if I had money like that, don't you think you would donate it and then get your name on the building? I would like that, to be honest.
you would. I mean, I'd
Yeah,
consider it. It depends on the school. Like, let's say I was at like fucking like an Ivy League school where they have so much like MIT I think has tens or hundreds of billions of dollars saved in saving because they get donated so much and they don't spend it.
yeah.
So they're practically a bank. Like I'm not gonna bother donating there, you know. But if it's like Western, I'm like sure. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stuff. Like it's not that funded. It's like, oh, there's good stuff that gets done there. I'd love to fund something like, oh, some initiative to start doing research on X, Y, and Z thing. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But now think about
I don't
this though. Instead of here on Earth, it's on Mars. You could have
Okay,
a rock named after you.
you're making this so much worse.
Listen, they could like you can find a rock. They can put your name on a plaque, put it on that rock, and then put it inside a building, and then
you
they know
know,
that this is your building.
you know what happens when you're actually like renowned and known? You become somebody who doesn't need to be seen on a plaque for somebody to be like, "Who the fuck is this?" Oh,
Yeah, but
it's this person.
Do you think the Martian humans are gonna know the people on Earth
The
humans? I don't
Martian
think so. Like
humans.
you gotta know the Mars people gotta know about the Earth people, and they gotta know that they came from somewhere, and they gotta know that you're the one who funded them.
Well, they don't have history textbooks. I mean, like Neil Armstrong went to the moon. Like, imagine if we were the first one to make a fucking colony on Mars.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
dude
But
may have
it's gonna be
lost his
cemented on
testicle.
the actual rock, bro. It's gonna be on a rock.
Yo, wait, I'm thoroughly convinced now. I just realized something.
What?
Testicle lizards are real. Neil Armstrong lost his nut.
It's a cover up. It's a cover up.
It's a cover up. They're real. We hit the nail on the hammer on the head. Hit the,
Say that again.
what the fuck? What's the actual saying?
we,
We hit the nail on the head
we hit
with
the
the
head.
hammer. Hammer on I think I said we hit the hammer on the nail on the head.
Yeah, you said it so wrong. I think the way you said it, you said we hit the nail on the hammer's head.
I think I said we hit the nail on the hammer on the head is what I said.
Yeah. We hit the hammer on the head of the something like that. I don't know it myself either.
I don't know. I'm not the brightest tool in the shed, you know.
I used to
God.
know the lyrics to that song, but then at
I
some
ain't
point
the sharpest tool in the shed.
we're editing that out. But yeah, so I'm just saying, like, space rock with your name on it, I'll be down for that. I'll be down for that.
Yeah. Big old Mars boulder. There's already a face on Mars, right? Or like something people believe is a face.
Oh, just like through the topology of the actual planet.
Yeah. I mean, I say people believe it's a face, but you know what I mean. Like it. You know how the brain tries to recognize faces and everything.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of situation. But there are people who are like, oh yeah, like that's a face. Like, ooh, aliens.
Would you do you think you'd freak out if you saw an alien?
Depends on the circumstance. I think if I was like in a bar and there was just an alien, but he's like just chilling, and I'd be like, "What the fuck?" And I'd be like, "Oh, that's just a dude in a costume." And then I'd be too anxious to go and walk up and talk to this dude, and I'd never know they were an alien. But if it was like some random dude like pointing a pistol at me and it's clearly an alien, I'm gonna shit my pants.
He's like holding a Glock instead of like a
It's not advanced. It's like an
it's
old like with but what the fuck are they called? Oh no, my brain, dude. Those like shitty one muskets with the knife at the front. Oh god.
like old Civil War type of shit. They're gonna like come at you with that.
Yeah, it's like blip blorps coming like hear ye.
I'd be down with it. That guy would be definitely someone I want to befriend.
Blip blorp.
I'm,
Yeah, I got
if we met Big Blorp in real life, listen, I'm just
honestly
saying
blip blorp's probably
we
a
we we
homie.
can we can hang out.
Probably a homie, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, but he might give
Definitely.
us a space lizard. That's the one issue.
Well, it's worth it. It's worth it to meet Blip Blorp. He's kind of our idol.
It's our goal. It's our goal to become one of Big Blorp's people.
Yeah, this is you know how some things get you know how radio signals get sent into space?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, technically there's a certain radius, I think it's like 400 light years of radius around the Earth that radio signals could be differentiated from noise, and then you could pick it out and like reconstruct the signals that were emanating from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can I just imagine, we upload this and then like that's the thing that they detect. They like it gets played somehow and then it like arrives to them and they're like, I want to meet Blip Blorp. They're like, all right, I'm coming.
There's an actual alien there with the
The
name of Blip
actual
Blorp.
ambassador. Yeah, it's just Blip Blorp. Like he's it's like a big crew and they're like, yeah, we don't want to meet. We're like alien isolationist type people. And then Blip
Just Blip
Blorp's
Blorp.
like,
Only
but they
Blip Blorp.
called to me. It was me. How do they know me? And then he gets on a shuttle, comes down. He's like, how do you know me? And I'm like, who are you? He's like, Blip Blorp. I'm like, oh fuck.
It's real. It's real. Holy
Not Blip
shit.
Blorp. I was joking. But if you want to grab tea,
The thing is, like, I'm pretty sure we actually are shooting. Like, obviously, we've shot shit out into space, and also we've dropped stuff in out like by accident in space. Um,
dropped stuff by accident in space. What do you mean?
when they're working on the space station, people like
Oh, you mean
astronauts,
space
they'll
junk?
drop. Yeah, they'll actually like accidentally drop stuff. These with the like the oven mitt gloves they have.
Yeah.
But I'm
Uh-huh.
pretty sure we sent a, I think it's like a record where
Oh yeah.
the weird thing is that every time we send shit out into space, instead of just sending them like a message or even at times just like a recording, I think they sent out like a golden record disc, which on the record disc it has like puzzles and codes that requires the aliens, if they were to ever get it, to crack. And it
Yeah.
makes no sense to me that we would do this. We would try to encrypt our our knowledge, our messages to them, that it requires them to know about us. Like they would have some semblance of either like numbers or the alphabet, and it still required them to be like, if they want to know what we said, they have to crack this code. And I'm like, can we just give them like a recording? Isn't this enough? Like, what's the point of this? Like, give them a dictionary along with it. Like, what is this?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, there's a reason for it. So what you're talking about is, I believe, on the Voyager 1 spacecraft, which is actually, I believe, has left our solar system now, or at least it's in the
Yeah.
outer ranges of it. But what the idea, to my understanding, is that they're not like codes to be like, oh yeah, we're encrypting it. They're meant to be. They're encoding the information in what they're calling like a quote unquote like universal language. So for example, like I believe they have a diagram of a hydrogen atom on there, and then they base the actual things that you can use to decrypt the thing on like constants that are constant across the universe. So like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, pi, or like mathematical constants like pi, or like the Bohr radius of a hydrogen atom, things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can decrypt it in a more universal way by having a basic knowledge of science, is I think the idea, and then you can like
Mm,
learn about it that way. So it's actually meant to make it easier for them to decrypt it.
I see. I see.
Because like imagine like we're handing them like a Rosetta Stone, quote unquote, of like something, right? But we use language, and our language is so different. It's like us trying to make out hieroglyphs, or like some
Yeah,
random language that's completely separate from anything we've ever seen on
but this is
Earth.
still on
Like,
the assumption that the species that picked this up is intelligible enough to figure this out.
presumably, if you've managed to get to space, you probably understand like pi, or like um,
I'm just
you know,
saying.
the
I'm
Bohr
just
radius of a
saying.
hydrogen atom, stuff like that.
Superman, the Kryptonians, okay, they
Uh,
can fly into space and they're fine. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there.
that's true. That's true. They're also fictional.
Yeah, yeah. But so is a lot of stuff we were talking about earlier. But we still believe it. I'm
That's
still
true.
saying I'm still
I'm looking
believing
for
in the space lizard.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for like a space lizard homebody for sure. Just a fucking dude, just
I think the
chill.
more embarrassing thing would happen is if the aliens were to pick up that disc and they're like, "Oh, their shit's wrong." That's the other thing. It's like we believe it to be true, and as far as we know, it is right. And
Uh-huh.
through experiments and all this stuff, like yeah,
Right.
it's I think we're good. But it'd be so crazy if like they come down, they're like, "Your shit's so whack, bro."
Yeah, or they like look at it and they're like, "Oh, wow. These guys only know this constant to like 20 decimal places. What losers. We know it to like 1,000." Disgusting. They must be
They're like,
so
it's so
unadvanced.
inaccurate. Like the amount of like uncertainty in here is too great.
Yeah, they're like, "You can't even control like matter antimatter interactions with this shit. How lame."
Gold. This is some peasant shit right here. They pull out like six different elements out of nowhere. Like they should have used this instead. Yeah, but I won't lie. I remember seeing that video and I'm like, damn, this looks cool as hell. But I was like, I still don't know if I would ever figure this out. Granted, I'm not smart, but fuck, bro. I hope one day it gets into contact with some other people, some other beings.
You know what I think will happen? It won't get in contact with jack shit.
It just flies into a star.
I think it'll just fly in space for millions of years and nothing will happen.
Can you imagine we advance so far into technology that we actually start doing space travel. We get to like Star Wars, Star Trek type of level stuff, and then one day it becomes like a time capsule for us.
You know, the funny thing is, like, you have that level of technology that you're like, you're a Star Trekian society or whatever. Um, you probably have plenty of tech to just like easily trace back the thing, go to it, pinpoint it, and like grab it and be like, ah, let's put this in a museum of human stupid ambition.
Said the British person.
Said the British person.
This belongs in a museum.
This,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Oh no. let's put this in a museum. Yeah,
That's that's
exactly.
that's the that's how that's the second coming of England right there.
Yeah, it's not even like a Star Trekian society. It's just somehow, like, despite it being 100 years, like hundreds of years since the Empire, somehow Britain somehow manages to control the rest of the world and become
Queen Elizabeth
oh
comes out of
no,
nowhere again. She rises from
rose
the
from
dead.
the
Oh,
dead.
out from
Yeah.
no. She's still alive. She's out in space. She's waiting for us. That's what's
Oh,
happening.
yeah. We find her like riding Voyager like a surfboard.
I'll be down for that. Listen, you think she's dead? I think she's still alive. Maybe.
I don't. I think she's dead.
Nah, probably still. Cover up, cover up, cover up. Just like
Cover up. Why would they
Neil
cover that
Armstrong
up?
left her skull.
Because then they replace it with somebody who's so much like even stupider. Like it's hard to say because it's Queen Elizabeth, but
No, but when we get to space, we'll find her one more time. She's gonna be with Blorp and the space lizards.
yeah. That was yeah because she doesn't have testicles for them to implant in, so she's just been chilling, you know.
That's how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Out of Lane podcast. I'm your co-host Avery,
And I'm your other co-host Eric.
and we can't wait to show you guys our next video. But
But
for
for now,
now, we're
we're
headed
headed
back
back
to
to
Lane.
Lynn.